So, yeah, it looks like it's finally happening. We're finally starting to get leaks for Modern Warfare 2. I thought I got headshotted by that shit. It felt like it. Recently, we got all that information about, like, Godzilla and all that shit, right? The trailer and all that other shit. We know exactly what's coming now, and hopefully it'll be good. Hopefully it'll be fun. Getting towards the end of Warzone 1, I mean, I wonder if they'll actually call Warzone 2 just Warzone 2. Like they're doing with, like, Overwatch. Because Fortnite did, like, Chapter 2 and all that shit to, like, try to help. So, obviously, Modern Warfare 2 is being worked on by the people that made same people that have created our beloved Modern Warfare 2019. Infinity Ward ended up changing their bio and their profile picture to just, like, a completely black slate. Or, at least it looks like that. And turns out, if you actually bring it into Photoshop, and I'm not sure if it's, like, just changing the brightness or if they're changing the exposure or whatever it is. But basically, once you lighten this seemingly just blank image up, there's actually some shapes and there's actually something going on. It seems like it's either like first person perspective of somebody hiding, or it's a camera sitting somewhere. Maybe even potentially like a diary or some shit like that even. I don't know. It's a strange position to have the camera, so maybe not. It seems like it's hidden. But basically, the camera is sitting what looks like to be behind like a staircase. There's gotta be other people that are afraid of this shit. It's those staircases where as soon as you step down onto it into the basement, you feel like something's gonna grab your ankle and pull your ass down into the staircase. Yeah, it's one of those. It's like wooden steps. And you can see somebody turned like this and they're looking sort of at the camera. You can get like at least like 80% of the profile of their face in terms of shape anyway. And it seems like there's a person just standing there. It's a figure and it kind of looks like Ghost, to be honest. I don't want to say that it's Ghost because the face does look a little different, but it does look like somebody wearing some sort of white design on the front of it. It's a black mask with a white face. So maybe, I don't know, like Ghost is going rogue or some shit and he's like interrogating somebody down there and he's like recording it, or maybe somebody's spying on Ghost himself to try to figure out more information about it. I don't know. What if Ghost is like not even on our side or some shit? And I'm gonna be honest with you, you guys know that I am not a huge Call of Duty lore fanboy. I don't really give a fuck, but it's still a teaser nonetheless. At the end of the day, they can show all the characters that I think are cool and whatnot. It's not going to make the game good. I'm definitely more interested in the campaigns as of recently because I actually made content on them. But in terms of like back with BO2, MW2, MW3, like the original, I didn't really care too much for the stories. I know that they like set the, you know, premise for everything and all that shit, but I didn't really care about the stories. I didn't make a bunch of content on either of the stories. I just didn't really care. And some people, like back when I did my Modern Warfare 2 playthrough on the MW2 Remastered, I didn't remember anything or know anything. I didn't remember any of the missions. I don't remember shit. And people were like upset with me. I mean, given, yeah, it's frustrating watching a dumbass, I get it, but we're like, how do you play these games for all these years and you just don't even care about any of the story and blah, blah. It's not that interesting. I don't know. I liked some of Cold War stuff. I liked like the whole like mental aspect of the whole thing. I like movies that got like hallucinations and like those movies of like, why the fuck do we exist type shit. Somebody told me to watch Everything Everywhere All at Once. Is that the name of it? Everything Everywhere All at Once? I think that's what it is. Somebody told me to watch it, but I also got warnings not to watch it. I was told by everybody that either recommended or didn't recommend it to me. I was told it was good regardless, but apparently it'll fuck me up. I don't know if people are exaggerating. I'm sure that it's good, but like something I've never seen before. I don't know, like maybe in this medium, but like couldn't have anime or something like that followed this type of premise or some shit. I don't even truly understand what it's about, but to see somebody fighting and then there's like all this crazy shit going on, things are flying all over the screen and things are going in slow motion and I can't. Do people have superpowers? Is it a superhero movie? Is anything in the movie even happening, or is this just like it was all a dream type of shit? I did watch The Dark Knight. That's a good movie. Honestly, the worst part about The Dark Knight was me trying to get over the way that Batman sounded when he was trying to conceal his voice. I genuinely thought that Batman, like, all the time just, I don't know, like, had, like, a voice changer or something. And maybe he does in, like, some other iterations of him, but in the movie, he's just, I'm Batman. And I thought people were joking when they did, like, their, quote, bad impressions of it, but no, it's not that they're doing bad impressions. It's that he just doesn't sound good. I get it, he's trying to conceal his voice for his identity and shit, but, like, I don't know, I didn't expect it to sound so goofy. I don't know, I thought of Batman, and I was like, oh, he probably has, like, some high-tech voice changer or some shit like that. It was just shocking to me. I don't know why I never really, and no, I never watched The Dark Knight. I still haven't watched the new Batman, though, because I wanted to compare the two. I think that they're gonna be completely different types of movies, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna relate to the Batman a lot more than The Dark Knight. As The Dark Knight, again, it's a bunch of action and shit like that. I don't really care too much, but it had, like, really good good context and dialogue behind things that I didn't expect it to have. I thought it was literally gonna have like face value of like a Transformers movie or some shit. There's just not that much depth in those movies. Now that we're finally getting teasers and shit like that, I'm gonna assume it's like, you know, weeks or so until we end up getting actual trailers and more information and shit like that. I mean, obviously we've had people leaking stuff. I usually just hate saying names because I don't know if somebody will end up getting in trouble or if it was their information to begin with. You know, it's difficult to even know where a lot of this information even comes from. There's multiple people that have multiple sources that have multiple different ways that it was said to them a couple weeks ago, and now it's different. I just don't usually like confirming it far too much. There's a UFC tonight, Amanda Lemos versus Jessica Andrade. That's gonna actually be a pretty interesting fight, but I'm pretty sure Lemos was like number 10, number 11. She's a good long power striker, which is really scary for that division. She hits very, very hard. Lots of very good, fast, long, straight punches where she just surprises people with how quickly she just hits them. She's great. Against Jessica Andrade, who has ground out multiple people, knocked out multiple people. And the crazy thing about Andrade is that she's one of the smallest people in the division in terms of her height. That's literally her biggest weak point, is her measurements. And the super impressive thing about it is that she still has the most, or one of the highest knockout power in the entire division, if not the most knockout power in the entire division. You do not want to get hit by her clean. She also has one of the best gas tanks, which that doesn't even make sense. Usually whenever you saw somebody that has a whole bunch of power, there's like some massive drawback where they wouldn't be able to be that powerful all the time or some shit like that. That's just not the case for her. So I think the longer that the fight goes, Andrade is more likely to win, potentially also even just get, you know, the wrestling going and shit, if she doesn't like the stand-up anyway. Or Lemos could come out and, okay, so I'm thinking either Lemos by KO or TKO within the first 2 rounds. If it's not within the first 2 rounds, I'm gonna say Andrade by 4th round TKO or a decision. I know that's not really a prediction, but basically if the fight ends early, I think it's Lemos that got her hand raised. If the fight ends up a little bit later, I think Andrade won. But I think a stoppage is very likely. This fight is kind of a big deal because if Lemos does actually win and inserts herself into, I think she went from number 11 to literally like number 1 or some shit like that. I don't even know how they managed to get Andrade to agree to that kind of fight, but it's a huge step up in competition is basically the point that I'm getting at for Lemos. Oh yeah, also speaking of fighting, I ended up finishing yesterday, so I didn't upload yesterday, but I ended up finishing my Fist playthrough, okay? I got on the game, killed Malekith, killed Horalu, killed Radagon, and killed Elden Beast, right? After I finished my Fist playthrough, I got on to my Warrior again. I believe that playthrough was like 70% of the way through New Game 3. I am currently now at the start of New Game Plus 7. New Game Plus 7, I believe, is the hardest version of the game that you can play. That's like the highest journey, new journey that you can go through. I beat the game 3 times yesterday. I got up at like 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, did a couple things, it's why I wasn't uploading to begin with, and then once I finished with everything, I felt empowered. I felt strong, like I could just do anything. I got on and just grinded the shit out of the game, and I had a blast. I have some highlights from that or whatever, but I want to do a singular playthrough on New Game 7, and then I think I'm done. If I gotta pick a winner, I think Andrade wins. I think Andrade will, even if she does get surprised by Lemos, I don't think she'll get shut off immediately, and I think if she ends up weathering the storm early, she's just far, far, far more likely to win. Yeah, Warzone 2, Modern Warfare 2, we're gonna be playing Modern Warfare 2 for at least a few months, 4, 5, 6 months or something like that. I'm gonna assume if Warzone 2 comes out in March like it did with, you know, the first Warzone, we're gonna have at least, what, like 5 months or so, which is a good amount of time for everybody to still be playing MP and shit like that. And I think more and more people are gonna drop off of the first Warzone as well once they realize how different the game could potentially be mechanically. If they did change the mechanics, like some shit that they did with like slide canceling or dolphin diving or some shit like that, I think more people will stop playing Warzone as much, and they will actually kind of play a good amount of multiplayer in preparation for Warzone 2 if it's mechanically different. I said this shit before, but I'm actually really excited for people to play more multiplayer because I love going through the whole camo grind, you know, with all of the new people that are playing the game and everything every year. I love it. I mean, the skill-based matchmaking is absolutely brutal, don't get me wrong, but it's super fun. The one thing about these games that I realized that skill-based matchmaking, as it ages, as a player base gets smaller and smaller, ends up being a lot more fun. When the games aren't at the top, where everybody is just playing it out of their minds, everybody is trying to be super good, the game is insanely fun when you're not constantly paired into that at all times. It's amazing how fun Modern Warfare 2019, with how much I hated this game over the years, it's amazing how fun this game is now, since everything is turned down. I bet Cold War is fun as fuck. Vanguard, I mean, honestly, even with skill-based, I mean, yeah, it's sweaty and shit, but I drop like 100 pluses consistently on Vanguard. I mean, small maps, but I'm literally a small map player. It's literally just time syncing and getting as much XP and progress as possible. That's just what I want to do. And I love sniping, don't get me wrong. It's just like whenever you're trying to make content and shit like that, there's not as much direction when you're just doing highlights on multiplayer unless you have a goal. But yeah, I mean, that's all we got in terms of like the teaser so far or whatever. So I don't know if there's gonna be like a trailer or some shit that comes out sometime soon. I mean, maybe in like a month, a couple weeks. I mean, who knows? Maybe a trailer will drop tomorrow. I don't know, but it's beginning.